everyone. I'm Martha, and I'm a walking machine for dispensing real diamonds. And this is not a joke. Now, I will tell you my story from the very beginning. I have one big and main weakness. This is the love of sweets. Somebody cannot live without meat, vegetables, or fruits, but I am ready to sell my soul for a milk chocolate bar, preferably with nuts, or for a piece of cake. I can't stand a day without something sweet. But if the chocolate bars suddenly fly past me, I become angry, irritated, and depressed. Sweets are my everything. Moreover, I cannot fall asleep until I have absorbed all the sweets in the house. I went to bed one night knowing that there was a chocolate figurine in the kitchen, a replica of my English teacher, which my mother had ordered from the famous chocolate here as a present for Miss Marple's birthday. As a result, I spent half the night rolling from one side to the other. I could not close my eyes because all my thoughts were about the chocolate figurine. As bad luck would have it, there was no more sweets at home, and at about 3 a.m. I can no longer control my desires, and I ate Mrs. Marple's head. How delicious it was! At night, everything generally becomes tastier and more attractive, especially chocolate. Having satisfied my craving for Mrs. Maple's chocolate, I fell asleep immediately, and the thought flashed through my mind that I had done something very bad. However, at that time, it was not important. Problems needed to be solved as they arrived. And at that time, it was long past my bedtime. Now, imagine Mrs. Maple's face when she received my present. She did not even realize that it was supposed to be her because there was no head. But I said that the head of the figurine fell off on the way, and I apologized. I sort of got away with it. Oh, poor Miss Marple. But this is not the only time when my craving for sweets was stronger than myself. My whole life is one continuous battle between healthy Martha and sweet tooth Martha. And as a rule, I can't control myself. My parents and I often visit my grandmother, and for as long as I can remember, she always had a box of sweets in the refrigerator, which my grandmother never allowed anyone to approach. I don't like greedy people, especially if the greedy person is your own grandmother. How can you hide some candies from your own granddaughter? Because of this, I don't really like to visit my grandmother, and if possible, I avoid going to see her. But one day, it so happened that my parents left me at my grandmother's for the weekend as they went away for a couple of days to rest. And the worst part was that they forgot to buy me some goodies. For me, it was almost the end of the world, and I couldn't find a place for myself. Then a cunning gastronomic plan immediately matured in my head to wait until my grandmother fell asleep and finally make my way to the cherished box. And so, in the pitch darkness, almost by touch, I crept to the refrigerator, opened the door, and took the cherished box, which I quickly went to my room. Candies, candies! How long I have been waiting for this moment! But soon, I was a little disappointed. The candies were not as tasty as I expected. They were some terrible, unpleasant chocolate, and the nuts in general seemed to have hardened and became like stones. Well, it was worth it to keep this much. With all the due respect to sweets, it's not a pity to throw away such candies, honestly. But it seems that my brain didn't work quite right because of the disorder, and I fell asleep with an empty candy box on my bed. Although my plan was to hide the evidence and return the box to its place in the refrigerator so that my grandmother would not notice anything. She never looks in the box anyway. In the morning, I woke up from a terrible scream. It was my grandmother shouting right above me. Candies, candies, you ate all my candies. At first, I was very scared, and then I got angry. Candies, how many years have you been lying there, and you didn't even eat them? They tasted disgusting anyway. I'll buy you a new normal candies, and you don't have to shout like that, I said. But my grandmother would not let up. She was shouting my diamonds and clutching at her heart. That's why I'm very much afraid of old age. A minute ago, she was worried about candies, and now she's suffering about diamonds, which she never had. Oh, how sad is it to not remember what happened a moment ago. Then my grandmother forbade me to go to the toilet and called my parents. She said that I ate her diamonds, which were hidden in the candies. Now we need to think about how to get them back. I was sure that this was some kind of nonsense. But soon I got a call from my excited mother who confirmed my grandmother's words. It turns out that she always knew that diamonds were hidden inside the candies, but she also did not tell me about it. My mother asked me to calm down and, like my grandmother told me, not go to the bathroom in any case so as not to flush millions of dollars down the toilet. Who was very scared and angry at everyone. Why didn't they tell me? I would not have suffered then, and now not at these disgusting candies of unknown origin. I could have broken my teeth on the diamonds, which I thought were just hard nuts. But there was no turning back, and I just had to wait and fearfully hope that I would be able to do without the toilet in the short term. My grandmother began to cry and told me the story about the origin of the diamonds. It turns out that these were our family jewels inherited through the female line. That is, my grandmother got them from my great-grandmother. Then they should have gone to my mother and then to me. But as you can see, I couldn't stand it and ate them ahead of time. I even felt a little ashamed at that moment in front of my grandmother and mother. Well, of course, my grandmother is also a clever cookie. How could one have thought of hiding diamonds in candies? It's like a loaded gun that will fire sooner or later. Anyway, after all, if I had not eaten the candies, someone else would have eaten them, and then we could lose our diamonds forever and irrevocably. In the evening, my parents arrived urgently, and we went to the hospital to do an x-ray and see where the diamonds were. Then the doctors told us that they didn't let me go to the bathroom for so long in vain because the diamonds were still in my stomach and wouldn't go anywhere from there. He then told us to go home, saying that sooner or later, I would start spitting them up. Fortunately, it started the next morning. I woke up with a very sore throat and started coughing. At the same time as I coughed, diamonds began to fly out of my mouth, and my parents and grandmother caught them and collected them in a handkerchief. In fact, they were waiting for it all night, sitting over my bed. But to everyone's disappointment, I only coughed up a quarter of the diamonds. This meant that the fun was not over, and I would continue to remain under the supervision of my family. For the next 5 days, I was taken to the hospital every day where the doctors checked the location of the diamonds, and I in turn gradually coughed them out of my body. You know, this is a very strange feeling to feel like a walking treasure chest, the value of which goes through the roof. After 5 days, almost all the diamonds were collected by my grandmother in some kind of box. All except one, which was not going to leave my body no matter what. And then I was taken back to the hospital where the doctor said that there was no diamond inside me. You should have seen the way my grandmother looked at me at that moment, as if I stole her jewelry. That day I had a bunch of nasty examinations, and in the end we found out that the last missing diamond had grown into my stomach. That is, it had become a part of me and my body, of course. It was impossible to get, but it would be necessary to carry out an operation for this, and therefore our family decided to leave everything as it was. Since then, my parents jokingly say that I am a family treasure, and that I realize the love of sweets can ruin me. Who do you think is wrong in this situation? Me, because I ate sweets without permission? Or my family, who hid the fact of the presence of diamonds from me? Write your answers in the comments, click on the thumbs up button, and subscribe to our channel.